Okay, so I told you last week that I would be back with another video this week, and here I am. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link it in the description box, but it gives you an update on where I was at and also what's to come. So I have the 72 set of the Prismacolor Premier colouring pencils. I bought this bad boy on Amazon, and it can be a bit tricky sometimes to find Prismacolors here in the UK. I bought mine quite a while ago on Amazon. I will add a link to the description box so you can go and check them out for yourselves. They are fairly pricey though, so just keep that in mind. Let me know if you'd like me to test out some other colouring pencils that would be good dupes to Prismacolor, so I can give you the lowdown on which ones to buy, which ones to avoid, and then I'll make that video for you. So like I said, I've had my Prismacolors for quite a while now and I've used them quite a lot, so I feel like I can give a genuine verdict on whether or not these colouring pencils are worth the price. And we're going to do that by drawing Barbie today, because why not? Now, I scoured the internet for my absolute favourite Barbie that I had as a child, and I have drawn her. This Barbie was from 1995 and is the dual hair mermaid Barbie. Her hair was so long it went down past her feet, and it also came with these star stickers that you could place in her hair. So I found a picture of her and I am drawing her today. So I sketched out my Barbie. I went over the top of it with a kneaded eraser just to take away some of those really dark lines that I may have created, and then I got to work with my colouring pencils. Do you know what? These colouring pencils, they build up very quickly. This is one thing that they do very well, and they're very pigmented as well, so they work very nicely. So I got to work on this Barbie and I wanted to think about her eyes, and in the photo that I was looking at, she kind of had these pale blue into a purpley kind of colour eye. So I decided to blend these two colours together, and they do blend like butter. The Prismacolors blend together so well that it makes it difficult to go back to other types of colouring pencils. I do have other ones that are my favourites, but these ones are up there, and I would say they are good ones to use if you want to work on something quickly, and we'll touch on that a little bit more later in the video. I also found it was quite nice to build up her skin tone with the Prismacolor colouring pencils. So I was using a mixture of yellow ochre, I was using magenta, I was using a few of the different browns, and then they just blend into each other really quite well. And they give off this really nice skin tone, which I thought worked quite well for Barbie. I was quite pleased with that. Once you've burnished out as well, it's quite easy with these colouring pencils to layer up on top of them and sort of add in some darker tones again, whereas some colouring pencils may not allow you really to add to that burnished colouring pencil. Also, while I was creating this, I was listening to an audiobook, so I've really got into that at the moment, and I really did enjoy listening to an audiobook whilst I was drawing. Usually I don't listen to anything and I sit and just work silently, but I really did enjoy listening to that whilst I was working. So if you've got any good audiobook recommendations, please do let me know in the comments. The biggest thing that I've taken away from the set that I have, the 72 set, is actually I don't need that many colouring pencils to achieve a drawing. So if you're on a budget and you are wanting to buy yourself a set of Prismacolors, then maybe don't set your sights up for that 72 set, get a smaller set and try them out first, and then you can always build up your collection. I think over in the United States you guys can buy these individually, however over here we don't tend to have that much accessibility to these colouring pencils, so it might be a bit tricky to build up your collection in the UK. But if you are overseas in the US, in Canada, then I think you might have a little bit more ease in selecting what colours you like, because I am a big fan of building a collection by choosing which colours I want rather than buying big sets and then you know, having them and never using half the colouring pencils. Now the lead in the polychromos is very, very soft. They're wax-based colouring pencils, so the pencil does blend into the paper incredibly fast, and it allows you to pick up the pace when you're working, and you can draw so much quicker, which is one thing that I really do like about these colouring pencils. The blends go together really quickly, whereas when I'm working with an oil-based colouring pencil, it takes me a long time to build up those blends, and sometimes that can be a bit frustrating, but this is a really nice way to work quickly and see results almost instantly. When I first got the polychromos, I was a little bit disappointed with them, I had to admit. I thought that they were going to be so much better than they were because I'd heard so much hype about them online. They're good pencils. I've changed my mind on them. I now do think that they are a good pencil. However, I don't think that they're the holy grail of colouring pencils, and I do think that they are overhyped online. I do like the Prismacolor colouring pencils now. When I first got them, I was a bit disappointed because I'd heard that they were so buttery soft, and when I used them for the first time, I felt like there's a little bit more resistance on the paper than I was actually expecting. So I think my expectations for these colouring pencils were so high that they just could never meet it. And then I had to give myself quite a long time actually of using these colouring pencils to find an appreciation for them. And now, you know, I love them. They're really good pencils and I will reach for them, which I think is, you know, a great accolade in itself. If you're reaching for something, then you know it's good. I think what lets these colouring pencils down is the fact that not all of the colouring pencils are light fast, whereas you can buy a set of colouring pencils for the equivalent price and they can be light fast. So they will have a higher light fast grading and they will be artist quality, whereas these ones aren't all light fast, and therefore, you know, you can't really say that they are artist quality colouring pencils. In terms of price, I think they are very, very expensive. They are overpriced, and I think some of the quality is maybe a little bit shoddy. There are quite a few breakages with the colouring pencils. Sometimes the lead is off centre, which causes more of these breakages. I've seen hacks where people will put the pencils in the microwave for a few seconds just to reform that lead inside of the pencil so that it stops breaking when you sharpen it. You shouldn't have to do that. I've got colouring pencils that I've bought from other brands and I've never had to do anything like that with them. I don't know, like, part of me wants to say go and buy these colouring pencils because they're really lovely to draw with, but on the other side I say you will probably be able to find an equally expensive colouring pencil set, but the quality will be much higher. I don't know, if you have a set of Prismacolors in your collection, what would you say? Would you recommend these colouring pencils to somebody else, or would you suggest a different brand? Which brand would you go for? Let me know in the comments. My big takeaway from this though, whilst I was working on the Barbie drawing, is that I really did enjoy using these colouring pencils. I loved how they blended together and how easy it is to blend these colouring pencils together. I also really enjoy the smooth finish of these colouring pencils. I do really enjoy using these and I love the colours that are included, and I also do love the selection of colours within the set. However, I know I won't use them all, but I do love them all. Surprisingly, I didn't have a single breakage whilst drawing the Barbie drawing, which was a huge surprise because usually when I use Prismacolor, I have a few colouring pencils that will break, but this time around I don't think I had a single breakage, which is a huge positive for the Prismacolor because they managed to actually shock me, which was really good. One of the downsides though of the Prismacolors that I do find a bit frustrating is that these colouring pencils do have a tendency to cast a little bit of a wax bloom. So in a couple of weeks time I know there'll be sort of that misty film over the top of my Barbie drawing, which will be a bit disappointing. However, I will create a video for you on how to avoid wax bloom with your colouring pencils. So if that is a video that you are interested in, then make sure you subscribe. In conclusion, I would say they're good pencils, but they're maybe not as good as the hype suggests. So if you are looking to save a little bit of money, I would do a bit more research into what other colouring pencils you are after. So if you want something that's soft and easily to blend, then you're going to be looking into wax-based colouring pencils rather than oil-based colouring pencils. Consider light fastness if that's something that is important to you, and I would also consider the build quality or the actual quality of the pencil itself in terms of its manufacturing, because there are a few issues with the Prismacolor. They've changed supplier, so the quality has dwindled over the years when it comes to the Prismacolor colouring pencils. But if you know that you want the Prismacolors regardless of all of those things, then by all means go ahead and make that purchase. I've popped some links in the description box for any of you that are interested in purchasing them, and if you do use those links, thank you very much, it does help me out a little bit. I'm really happy with my Barbie drawing. I really enjoyed how it turned out. I love the process of drawing her. I know it's not completely perfect, but I really enjoyed it, and I think that's one of the main things. You should be enjoying the things you're creating. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.